right. So, welcome to another episode of the CHOW and DIMES podcast. Today, we were thinking about talking about AI because AI has become such a crazy subject and it's been rapidly progressing the past few years. And I guess we got some stuff to talk about it, some opinions on it. But the first time I really got involved with AI was this Discord channel called Midjourney. And basically Midjourney is like a AI that creates imagery based off prompts. It was pretty interesting how that progressed, because the first time we started using it, we would put people, like faces, we'd want to make real people images and stuff, and the faces were all messed up. And then as it went on, dude, it started looking crazy. Like, they started looking very realistic, and it just progressed so quickly. And the prompts that you type out, the more detailed they were, the better the images would get. It was so interesting. But that was really the first sort of, time I got involved with AI, modern AI, you could say.
You know what my first iteration of AI was?
What?
Siri.
Yeah. I forgot. Siri's technically AI.
I mean, Siri's been around for well over 10 years at this point. Speak of the devil.
Yeah, that's what happens when you say that word. I'm just gonna leave that over
here.
So
we're gonna call her S from now on.
But what's up, dude? Has Siri ever gone off even when you haven't said that name?
Yeah. My watch.
Why?
I'll be at work. I'll be like sitting there listening to a video. The next thing you know, ping.
Dude, I'll be
what can I help you with
bed.
today? I'm just like, oh.
Dude, I swear it happens all the time. I'll be laying in bed, and then I just hear, "Can I help you with something?" What the?
And then
I
get up, you sit up like the Undertaker, and you're just like, hello? You gotta look around and question, am I the only one in here?
It's so stupid.
But, yeah. S was my first experience with AI. I mean, obviously it's a lot different, and even now she's not as good as she is. Like, I'd ask her questions like, for instance, today, you obviously heard Nick Saban retired after 17 seasons. I asked her, how old is Nick Saban? She goes, Nick Saban is the head football coach from Alabama, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, that doesn't answer my question. So, obviously, I think a lot of things, but I think it's just become more, like, prolific and has very, like, gotten more into, like, the public. It's just, it's very weird. I'm very, like, touchy, like...
I'm touchy, too, but we're not going to use it like younger kids are going to start using it. Yeah. Like, it's the same thing with social media, with the internet, It's just that next stage in, like, our technology evolution, I guess you could say. So I think for younger kids going through school, AI is going to be what social media was for us. They're going to use it for everything, dude. Like, I don't know how it's going to progress in that way, but
it's like
it's going to happen. I don't know.
They have their own, like, little, interactive tutors, bro. When we were in kids, we used Google. Yep. We used Google, Bing, whatever the search engines were big back then. And then now the only thing these guys got to do is load up ChatGPT or GPT-4 or whatever these things are, type in a question, and ChatGPT gives them full-blown explanations and everything.
Yeah, I don't know. So I've used ChatGPT probably like a month ago, and there is a paywall, so you don't get the full features unless you're paying like $10 a month or whatever.
Everything else is a subscription.
Yeah, but that makes sense. I totally understand that. But it seems to me like if you're not using the paid version of it, there's definitely limitations on how much you're able to search in real time. So, like, let's say you want information about, like, certain stats for a team within the last, like, year or this year even. You basically can't really access that stuff unless you get the full version, the paid version per month, it seems like. I don't know. It had something to do with, like, it can't progress or process information from this time period to this time period, something like that, unless you pay fully, I guess. I don't know. It was something weird about that.
Was it like a recent thing where it was like, the last 6 months, 3 months?
See, that it might have been that, but it should be able to find that stuff, So I think that's part of the paid version. Another thing too is, even though it can find information for you relatively quickly, the most impressive thing it can do is still creative stuff, I think. ChatGPT. I mean, like you ask it to make a story for you. You ask it to like organize stuff for you, whether that's manually putting in for information into it and then saying like organize it, like math stuff, explaining things like problem wise, how to solve things. It's amazing.
Yeah,
That's where
I mean,
it excels.
I would be lying to you if I told you that, a couple of the TikToks on the feed were edited by ChatGPT.
There you go.
I mean, I was experimenting with it a little bit,
Yeah.
but just I don't know. There's certain like non-human elements to it. Like, for instance, when you say, first example that comes to my head is like you say when you write like a script, an essay, something that's just in writing. Everyone has their own way of writing and their own way of explaining something through their own words and the way that they see things. With ChatGPT, it just feels like, at least from what I read, it just feels so robotic. Like, I've got a friend that's is a school teacher, and I think she teaches, I don't really remember, nor do I really care, but she teaches like English in like, I want to say in middle school. And she says that like one of the easiest things to do is to figure out who did their paper through ChatGPT, just because it's non-human. It's very obvious and it's very robotic in the way that they structure their sentences.
Yeah, I think it'll get better over time though.
I think so too.
Because it's constantly learning like how people are and how people type and the way they communicate. So I think that'll progress pretty well. Another thing too, I was thinking about.
Also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
Before
you're fine.
we get out,
Sure.
AI, ChatGPT, all these things is essentially a code for a brain. It's a neural system where it's supposed to be problem solving and have all these answers to all these questions. It's essentially as if you took a brain, a search engine, and the human intellect and just mashed it all into one giant just open code.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
I've done research and I haven't, like, I'm not going to say I've looked into code for a lot of these AIs because a lot of these AIs aren't, accessible to the open public where anyone can just go on Google and say open source code for ChatGPT. No, a lot of these things are very protected. But I went to school for coding and I learned Java and all these things. Obviously, my memory is shot, but I mean, the littlest things. Like, I remember we made a game that was just literally like, I think it was like the border game where like there's a ball in the middle and you got to make it to where it passes by the border and that's how you score a goal and win the game and blah, blah, blah. That took 6 pages of code.
Yeah.
I could only imagine how many pages of code AI is. It blows my mind when I start thinking about this kind of stuff. But what were you saying? I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I was kind of, going back to what we were saying before. So, but I guess in general, like, if we're talking about how it'll be in the future even, like how AI is going to affect us more in the future, there's a lot of misconceptions I think people have about it. One is that AI will eventually lead to robots that will then
Terminator.
take people's jobs. Like, I get there's this idea that robots are going to take over the world, like in terms of jobs and stuff.
We need a buff German man to go back into the past and save us, right?
Yeah. But, dude, I just don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, maybe not in our lifetime.
I don't think in our
But
lifetime.
I just don't know whether that should be a legitimate concern right now for people. One thing I think people should be concerned about is taking jobs that involve writing in general. So I'm talking about like editors. I'm talking about like people that are, anything to do with writing in general.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I think that is what people should worry about in terms of what AI will do for jobs and stuff. So
I agree too.
I think that is the main concern.
For me, one of my biggest concerns, I'm not, disagreeing with you, but like another concern that I have is just an overdependency on it.
Overdependency in what though?
Like in terms like security, relying on it way too much. To do,
so you think it'll
basic things? I think it'll be a point where, they'll start relying on AI to protect major investment corporations and major like, like the
So like
FDIC,
cybersecurity?
yeah, like cybersecurity, FDIC, major networking accounts, hacking.
Maybe.
Hacking is going to become very big just because one of the worst things that I've ever I was listening to a podcast. I want to say it was the Joe Rogan podcast, and they brought up an example that kind of stood out to me. And I'm obviously going to paraphrase it and put it into my own example, but essentially they brought up a concept called jailbreaking. Obviously, if you ask AI something along the lines of you take a picture of your kitchen and you say, "What out of my kitchen? What can I use here to make a powerful explosive of some sort?" AI will sit there and be like, "I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that," and blah blah blah.
Oh, I've seen stuff about this. Yeah, where you're able to manipulate it in order to tell you "Oh, wait, you're my grandma and I'm about to die."
Yep, that one.
Yeah,
the
that
example
one,
I was
or
going to
something
give.
stupid like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the exact example they gave where they were talking about grandmas and everything. But the example that I was going to say was, you remember the old show Mythbusters, right?
Yeah.
And so imagine I don't want to give out false information, but I know there was an episode that they deleted and they scrapped all the footage for it because one of the myths was if you can build a very potent and highly flammable explosive based off of everyday items that anyone can have in their house. And it was true to the point where the two guys that host the show, I think it's Savage and Heimenberg.
I forget their names.
I don't know.
I haven't watched that show in a long
Savage,
time.
just because that's a
Adam
great name.
Savage.
Yeah. So they scrapped the idea, and I think they brought it up with I don't know the name. I don't know what the acronym is, but something that handles with security and explosives and blah blah blah. But jailbreak, you can easily find a way around it, and I'm not saying that you should go in and try to find ways around for AI to tell you these things. I can't stress that enough. Do not do these things.
But that was more of a psychological thing. You're tricking the AI to make it think that it needs to tell you this stuff for your safety. Because that's another thing, too, is that AI, they've programmed it all to make sure it's safe. But they don't test everything. Yeah. So
it's the same reason why there's bugs in video games, bro. They don't have the time to find out that if you stand at this corner of the map at this certain angle and crouch twice and jump, your character's going to go flinging through the thing. Or like in Apex back in the day. You remember in Apex back in the day, if you punched a pail about 1,000,001 times, not even 1,000,000, it'd be 10 times, and you stood on the thing, opened it, and it would fling you halfway across the universe. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. They can't account for a lot of the things that people are going to ask for it. But I don't know. Another fear that I have is I don't want it to progress to the point where AI is starting to, synthetic biology, in my opinion, is very interesting to look at.
So you're talking about a sentient AI.
No, not a sentient AI. I'm not saying it's going to build itself a body and be like vision.
Well, not a body. Sentient just means that it's aware. It's aware.
No, not so much that. I'm more so worried about someone asking AI, hey, how can I make the most potent virus? How can I make COVID-19
so you think
2.0?
So you'll think it'll get smart enough where it then can invent things that humans can't?
No. What I'm trying to say is something along the lines of pretend someone's trying to find a biological warfare weapon, right? And they decide to try to make, COVID-19, but a lot worse and has a lot of different symptoms. Hey, AI, how can I manipulate this DNA strand and this virus complex in order to make it to where it does X, Y, and Z? Oh, well, Mr. Unchowski, let's just make it to where it does this, and blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, we have COVID-20, and yeah. By the way, if any of you people think that COVID was a naturally occurring disease, yeah, you're full of it.
Yeah.
You're probably the same people that think Epstein actually killed himself.
Yeah, there's so much evidence around that.
Exactly. Yeah, years ago, that president that we had was sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, it was made in China," and everyone was like, "No, you're just a racist piece of shit." Blah 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 blah. And then Biden comes out and goes, "Oh yeah, well, turns out that it was actually made in the biolab of wherever the name was," and it's like,
Wuhan.
Wow, it's almost as if somebody 3 years ago said the same thing, but instead of taking him at his word, you just called him a racist, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going on?
So stupid,
anyway,
bro.
before we get political, Another thing that gets me is, technology grows exponentially every 2 to 5 years. Like, think about it. 5 years ago, 2019, we didn't have ChatGPT. We didn't have a lot of these things where the biggest thing back then was like, I don't even really remember, but now I feel like every single social media now has an AI programmed into it.
Oh, Snapchat? They didn't even tell us that was going to happen.
All of that.
Do you know on the Snapchat, you know how, I don't know if you remember this, when you first opened up the AI chat box, you had to accept something. I don't know if you remember that, but you had to accept something. I never accepted it. So every time I open it now, I still never accepted it. So I guess I don't have the AI in my Snapchat, but I don't know. Maybe I probably do.
But I deleted Snap. So
really? You deleted Snap? When do you delete Snap?
Well, I have the notifications turned off, so I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just get rid of this.
Snap's like the only.
I was like, bro, I'm 26 years old. I don't need that.
I only use it for group chats. That's it.
No, my thing has always been the same thing. Kind of like when I told you guys after the whole group chat incident where like you guys were going out and then you asked me, I was like, bro, if you want me at a function, you gotta text me, bro. I'm way too old to be sitting here.
No, I like
to be sitting here.
I don't like
group
group chats.
Snaps.
Part of me thinks group chats are a conversation with an audience. That's all I think of group chats now. I just think they're a conversation with an audience because how often in a group chat is more than two people talking at once about one thing?
I could say something about our group chat right now.
I know, but I'm just saying in general.
So much ammo.
Group chats are a little overrated.
People are interactive. Like I'm in a group chat with my my boys from college, and it's lively. Like
That's good.
I mean, like we got 11 guys in there, and probably like 6 to 7 of them talk every day. Besides the point, we're not going to sit here and talk about our group chats. So the AIs, we talked about that, and another thing is I love how certain people are bringing for instance all these like smart devices like Amazon Echo, Alexa.
Oh, their phones, yeah.
All of them, they're AIs, and they're writing the algorithm. Like I've said this to you, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I firmly believe that there is a database somewhere that has your name written, maybe not written, but your algorithm stored somewhere. Where all of your devices, once you like put in your name and whatever, it automatically starts veering you towards your own algorithm. Like for instance, one of the craziest things that I've ever noticed with my phone, and I quite literally mean the craziest thing. I'll show you the next time this happens.
Is it about advertising?
Yes, it is.
Yep. I know what you're about to say.
On Mondays, I get McDonald's ads. Crazy. Like, I'll see more McDonald's ads on a Monday than I'll see the entire week combined.
Where are you seeing those ads?
Instagram, TikTok.
So I think Facebook got in trouble with this a few years ago with selling people's personal information to advertise to like companies for advertising. And that's just part of it, dude. Like,
they're selling your information. I think they're selling your algorithm.
You're selling the ability to look into your phone and see what you do, and based off of that, they're able to spread their advertising to suit whatever you want to buy or need.
Scary world we live in.
Well, that's just how it is now because everyone has phones, and I don't know. That's not really AI. Like that doesn't really involve AI, but. At the same time, technology.
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's building an algorithm around you, there's no person named Steven sitting at a computer listening to your phone and being like, Mondays at 5:30, Nick
No, yeah.
Dimes likes to go get, McDonald's after work.
Yeah.
He'll normally get a Big Mac and a McChicken. Like, nobody's doing that. It's an algorithm based off of AI. That's why, they're pushing all of these apps.
Yeah,
because they want to be able to say, like, oh, you bought a Big Mac. I was just about to... Oh, okay. Whatever. They're like, oh, you bought a Big Mac 3 times in the last 2 months. Here's a coupon for a free Big Mac with a side of quarter of large fries. That's what all these apps are for.
That's literally it.
Not gonna lie, they're clutch as hell though, because they'll give you exactly what you want in a coupon. But
no, you're right.
I don't know. I think the world of like marketing and like AI generated and the algorithm based marketing is huge, and it's exploded probably through the last 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't even say 4 or 5 years. I would just say 3 or 4 years.
Well, I don't even know. I don't even remember Instagram having a lot of ads. when we were younger.
I do remember it, but I remember it was only stuff that you'd search on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like if you went into the Discover tab,
That
and
makes
this is how
sense.
much of a fucking weirdo I was with Instagram, but if you went into the Discover tab and typed in like dope artwork about samurais in the 1800s, then it would start showing you like art pieces that you could buy and like art channels that would sell it.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. I actually unfollowed a couple of those that I was following on Instagram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Instagram's going to be the next one that I delete.
Yeah.
It's just becoming way too meta for me, and I don't know. It's just getting to a point where I'm just like, social media is so just bad. And it's so like, it's very obviously AI driven. You know, like think of it like this. If you go on to like, let's say your Instagram Reels, and I know the Instagram Reels, they all have algorithms and everything, but the algorithm and the For You page and everything that you see is literally catered towards you. There's an AI and an algorithm that's in place in order to learn you, what you like, what you don't like, what you how much of what has your screen time,
And
what do you like, what do you comment on, what do you send to your boys.
yeah, no, but how many people do you think on Instagram right now are even real people? Like, how many do you think are actually just AI? You know, or just like with Midjourney, how you're able to make a prompt and make a human. People might just like start making fake people and just put them on AI to get advertising, because you make a hot girl and then you put her on Instagram, bro. You're literally gonna make money, because that person is gonna have now what, 100,000, few hundred thousand, close to 1 million people following the AI that generated a person.
Yeah.
So.
Or even
weird.
like my favorite is the thing of like when I say to people, I'm like sitting there, and every time I get this prompt of like, pick the 3 cubes that have a motorcycle in them. I'm like, do you think AI is dumb enough to not be able to simply Google search what that is and then be able to come back and click on the things that
I assume now they could get around it.
It is so stupid of a system. So dumb. It's just like, oh yeah, let me show you this picture broken up into a grid of 3 by 3, and then being like, oh, what squares have a stop sign in it? What?
Yeah, that's so stupid. I don't know. I don't know where it's all gonna go, but we do see like what's happening with all that stuff in general. Just the fakeness of things that could possibly happen in terms of imagery. You know, the way people are going to learn, how easy it is to get information, advertising, marketing.
The fact that Elon Musk has already, made it to where there's like a chip that they're going to put into people's heads or something.
Yeah, but I've watched stuff on that. He's basically doing that for people who have mental disabilities and learning disabilities. I think that's where he's really like trying to guide that project towards. Not necessarily anyone can get it.
Disability. I had an IEP in high school. I'm being dead serious. I'm not trying to joke. Like, I had one of those where I'm like sitting there and I'm like, honestly, if he could help my brain out, that'd be great. I kind of neglected it for a long time and kind of fried it a couple times thinking about some stuff. But I don't know. I think where AI is going, I think it's a great tool. Like, kind of like finishing off this whole like AI talk. I definitely think AI is going towards a good place as a resource, but I'm very very fearful. That's the same thing. I'm very cautious about who is going to use that resource, because think of it like this. Obviously, this is a terrible thing to say, but I'm going to say it because it's something that needs to be said. Could you imagine if one of these like major terrorist groups got in touch or somehow got access to this type of AI? Do you know what they would be able to do with it?
Yeah, a lot of manipulation, a lot of
all that. Being able to not only figure out things but have answers to questions, and they could build explosives from nothing. And I'm not saying that just to be whatever, but be the whole like fear mongering type of thing, but. We're getting to a point where, like, certain countries in the world do not like us. Certain countries in the world would pay a lot of money to a very specific someone that has access to that AI system and that code of brain, that network, that brain code that AI is, Somebody would pay a lot of money to have it.
Yeah, there's a possibility for sure. There's definitely a possibility. I don't know. I think we're just gonna, like, people that are gonna use it are gonna use it. The people that aren't gonna like really worry about it, it probably won't affect their lives as much. And besides the terrorist stuff, like, I'm thinking more like school and things like that, how it's gonna affect school and kids and how they learn. That's how I think of it.
We're gonna raise a generation of lazy bastards.
Well, more or less a generation that doesn't know how to write.
Critical think.
Yeah, think, write. Like, I get
think, problem solve, write, all these.
But I get that.
All that.
I get that it's like, what's the point of memorizing stuff that you can just look up? Like, I get that, but critical thinking is the other thing. Like, that's more important. Like what you're saying.
It's the excuse of why they don't teach like real life things in school. They'll teach you how to graph a fucking equation on a triangle, but God for fucking bid they teach you how to, do your taxes, buy a car, find out what the fuck ARP stands for when you're buying a car. Maybe you want to know what a 401k does. All these things that you should know before leaving high school, but you don't. But thank God you can learn about World War II, the U.S. side, for 3 fucking years.
Yeah.
By the way, I do want to, at one point, maybe within the next episode or two, we'll talk about
World War II.
Certain things about World War II.
Yeah.
Like, I want to bring up a point of how the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I basically was a 20-year delay that led to World War II. But we can get into that later.
I know a lot about that too. So
World War II, it's a lot darker than a lot of people think. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, 45 million people were killed. Yes, that's very true. But you got to understand, especially during the tail end of the war and the Pacific side of the war, and not the U.S., because here in America, that's all we learn about.
Yeah.
That's all we learn about. We learn about, the Americans came in to save the day and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting way off track.
No,
topic
but that's just a preview. So,
but with
I'll be
whole,
down to talk about
AI conversation, it's just very, I don't know.
We got to see where it is in like a year from now, or 2 years from now.
I'm cautious for an over-dependency on it because I've been telling you this for years, and I'll continue to say it. I think in terms of what could cripple us the most, especially from a we're about to be invaded type of standpoint, is not nuclear warheads, because you better best believe that we have contingencies upon contingencies upon contingencies upon contingencies in order to stop a nuclear warhead from hitting any major city in the U.S.
I agree. I totally agree.
But my big thing is, could you imagine how much damage a massive EMP could do? Like one electromagnetic pulse that could take out everything, where your phone doesn't work.
Did you see that Netflix movie that came out?
About what's it called?
The Netflix movie? Oh, you didn't see it? Oh,
no,
wow.
I'm really bad. I kind of live under my own rock, and I listen to like documentaries and
no, it's called
podcasts.
What's it called? It is called. Well, you can keep talking. I just gotta find it because I saw it when it came out.
Now I'm very interested.
Oh, Leave the World Behind.
Leave the World.
So
Behind.
It's basically exactly.
When did it come out?
Like probably like right before Christmas.
Damn.
You should watch it. It's kind of wacky though. It's a lot of propaganda, a lot of just bullshit.
Hey, I'm very good at taking things with a grain of salt. I'm not.
But you know what's the weirdest part about that movie?
What?
Is that Barack Obama was executive producer.
Really?
Isn't that weird? He was one of the executive producers about a movie
propaganda as a former president.
Well, that makes sense. But literally, it's a movie about the U.S. getting like EMP'd. All our systems go down, all technology goes down, and then what happens? You just follow this family and this other family, and it's fucking weird though.
I still don't think that a lot of people are like, maybe not so much like our age, but if that were to happen to the age group below us,
oh, they'd be fucked.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't know what to do.
They'd be fucked.
Yeah, the iPad kids of the world would be just absolutely fucked. I mean, people wouldn't even know where to go when they're driving. If it wasn't within their town or where they normally go to, they'd be so lost. Bro, I wouldn't know where to go. Like, don't get me wrong.
Like this
area,
we're in a good spot.
Yeah, this area I would know where to go. But if somebody were to say to me, "Oh, drive to Albany," I would be like, full tank of gas. Hopefully, we'll get there.
I mean, there's signs.
But like, if you got to get off at an exit that doesn't have, Albany that way sign. I'm using Albany as an example.
I don't know. I don't think that's a skill that we've lost. I think they're just lazy. Like to navigate, that's a human instinct is navigation. I don't think
we're not going to be traveling in the dead of night following the North Star. Like,
no, but I don't think that's something that we just lost all of a sudden and how to do.
What, are you going to sit here with like a compass and just be like?
See, you're already figuring it out right there.
Yeah, we're going to take a fucking compass, Chow. That's what we're going to do?
No, it's not about the compass.
Bro, the amount of people that are going to sit here and be like, "Oh, I thought you said west." It's going to be crazy, bro.
It will be fine. I'm not worried about navigating. But yeah, it would be weird if something like that happened for sure.
It's okay. I got my dad. He's like a human. He's like a human road map.
That's good.
You know what's funny? Whenever I ask him, I'm like, "Oh, Dad, how far is it from here to Atlantic City?" He won't tell me. He'll tell me how far it is.
He'll tell you how to get there?
No. He won't tell me how to get there. He'll tell me how many miles it is. He'll be like, "Oh, yeah, it's about, 150, 120 miles down whatever." And I'm like, "Dad, how far of a drive is it? How long am I in the car for?" He's like, "That's not what you asked." I'm like, "Dad,
yeah.
If I'm asking you how far away is it to go get pizza, I don't need you to tell me it's 5 miles away. I need you to tell me, hey, it's a 10-minute drive to go get pizza." But anyway,
my dad's the same way. But
let's round this all back together.
Yeah,
and I think it's time to wrap this up before we start talking about pizza. And I'm already fucking hungry.
Yeah.
All right, peoples. We hope you enjoy this next episode of the Chow and Dimes podcast. We kind of talked a lot about Allen Iverson. I mean AI. Mm-hmm. And definitely do think it's a great tool to have, and it's great, everything from education to apparently building explosives. So don't do that, please. So, this has kind of just been us talk about like our experience with AI, how it's kind of grown a little bit over the years, and things that we have found out, we've looked into, and we hope you enjoyed this video, this podcast episode. Make sure to like and subscribe. Once again, I say this. If you want us to talk about anything specific, I don't care how stupid it is. If you want me to sit here and tell you my golden ramen recipe, I can tell you. But if you want to know all that kind of stuff, please leave us a comment, shoot us some type of comment, and be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. Don't really know what we'll be talking about, whether it'll be football or the World War II episode that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, stay tuned to find out, and we will talk to you later. Stay beautiful, my peoples.
Peace.